Vladimir Putin, president of the Russian Federation, stepped into an elegant Moscow restaurant tucked away on one of the city's most illustrious avenues. Fresh from a rigorous judo training session, he arrived in slightly crumpled attire, deliberately choosing a modest table to avoid drawing attention. The soft radiance of crystal chandeliers illuminated the refined interior, lending an air of understated sophistication. Before Putin could settle in or place his order, a waitress named Maria approached him with a hint of disdain in her eyes. With an almost imperceptible smirk, she asked in a brisk tone, "Are you sure you belong here?" Her words, laced with irony, echoed around the dining room, setting the stage for an encounter that would soon reveal much more than a simple dinner. Calmly, Putin responded that he would like a table. Maria raised an eyebrow, as if she'd just heard something absurd, and crossed her arms. "Are you sure you're in the right place? This is an exclusive restaurant," she remarked. Unruffled, Putin offered a gentle smile and confirmed his intent to dine there. With a mix of incredulity and condescension, Maria excused herself to check his name in the reservation system. Finding no record, she returned with a dismissive eye roll, noting that although a few tables were available, this wasn't a casual dining venue. Yet Putin's calm demeanor remained unchanged as he reiterated his desire to enjoy the evening. Dramatically sighing, Maria grabbed a menu and led him briskly through the dining room, barely pausing to ensure he was following, toward a secluded corner near the kitchen. In that dimly lit area, the soft clatter of dishes and low murmur of staff replaced the refined elegance of the main hall. Dropping the menu onto the table with a noticeable thud, she said in a falsely sweet tone, "Here you go. This table is perfect for you. If you need anything, do let me know, but only if it's absolutely necessary." Putin simply nodded, his expression remaining composed and polite as he began to study the menu. When Maria returned to take his order, she made a show of pulling out her notepad with exaggerated slowness before looking down at him with an air of disinterest. "Have you decided? Or would you like a recommendation?" she asked, her voice barely masking the boredom. Without missing a beat, Putin calmly pointed to one of the more expensive dishes on the menu. Leaning closer, Maria suppressed a laugh and said, "Ah, the filet d'eb rossini. A classic choice indeed. Just to be sure, you're aware this comes at a price of $350? Putin nodded ever so slightly, his calm unwavering. "Yes, it sounds excellent." Maria smirked, delighting in what she thought was a moment of superiority. "Well, just so there are no misunderstandings later, I'd suggest you double-check the prices before making your choice. We wouldn't want any surprises, would we?" she said, the sarcasm dripping from her words. Putin, still unfazed, simply responded, "I'm sure it will be fine." "Thank you." Without missing a beat, Maria added nastily, "Our chef suggests that such a dish is best appreciated by those who truly understand fine dining," as she scribbled down the order. "I hope it meets your expectations," she said, before spinning on her heel and walking away, casting a final glance over her shoulder as she made her way out of the dining area. Putin remained serene, uninterested in responding to the provocations. He turned his attention back to the menu, absorbed in making his choices, all while the soft sounds of live music played on in the background, providing a quiet contrast to the tension building at the table. "Would you like to proceed with the next section?" Dla 12 sekund. Later, as Putin carefully examined the menu, Maria returned to his table with an exaggerated flourish. Unfolding her notepad, she fixed him with a cool, detached gaze and asked, "Have you decided what you'd like, or would you prefer a recommendation?" Without missing a beat, Putin gently indicated one of the more expensive main courses. Maria suppressed a laugh and replied in a mocking tone, "Ah, the filet deb rossini. A classic choice indeed. Just to be sure, sir, you do realize that this dish is priced at $350, correct? With a slight nod and an unruffled demeanor, Putin confirmed. Yes, it sounds exquisite. Maria then continued, her tone dripping with condescension. Our chef insists that such delicacies are best appreciated by those who truly understand fine dining. I do hope it meets your expectations. Before departing, she added with a hint of theatricality. Oh, and please remember, the minimum tip here is 20%. Still composed, Putin offered a gentle smile and returned to the menu, undisturbed by her provocation. As Maria moved away, she couldn't help but glance back smugly, certain that she had succeeded in rattling Putin. However, as time passed, her confidence began to wane. Instead of fleeing or showing any signs of discomfort, Putin remained calm, savoring the atmosphere, and appeared completely unbothered. In fact, the longer she watched him, the more determined she became to provoke a reaction. Meanwhile, a nearby elderly man, who had been observing the exchange, raised his glass in a small, respectful toast toward Putin. Putin, ever the composed figure, acknowledged the gesture with a subtle nod and a quiet smile, a moment that did not go unnoticed by other diners who had began to tune into the unfolding situation. Maria, seeing no quick departure in sight, grew increasingly frustrated. Unwilling to relinquish the small victory she had hoped for, she continued to practice her subtle, seat-of-the-pants, passive-aggressive tactics, such as walking past Putin's table repeatedly while pretending to be busy, each time avoiding his gaze and quickening her pace, as if inconvenienced by his presence. Finally, after an unusually long delay, the appetizer arrived. Maria placed the dish down on the table with excessive force, causing it to slide slightly across the tabletop, and adding a playful edge to her otherwise bitter tone. "Here's your appetizer," she said. "I trust you'll enjoy it, if you can figure out what it is." Putin's response remained polite and firm. "Thank you. It looks excellent." He didn't bat an eye at the insult, continuing to focus solely on his meal. Clearly frustrated with her lack of success, Maria muttered under her breath to a fellow colleague. "He won't make it to the entree. I'm betting he'll ask for the check as soon as he sees the menu prices." Yet she could barely hide the irritation in her voice as she spoke. But Putin was far from troubled. He took his time, savoring each course, while Maria looked for additional ways to put him in an awkward position. As Putin continued his meal, a nearby elderly patron raised his glass in silent toast, a gesture that elicited a subtle nod and smile from the president. The evening was only beginning, yet Maria's disdain seemed to intensify. Determined to reinforce her sense of superiority, she deliberately delayed taking his order to the kitchen, opting instead to attend to other guests she deemed more worthy. She paused to converse with an elegant couple, chuckled at a guest's remark, and even delivered a cocktail meant for another table, all while Putin remained quietly patient. Each time their eyes met, Maria quickened her steps, intentionally avoiding any direct interaction. After a lengthy wait, the appetizer finally arrived. With deliberate carelessness, Maria set the dish before him, causing it to slide slightly across the table. "Here's your appetizer. I hope you enjoy it, or at least know what you're eating," she remarked with a mocking tone. Putin responded with a polite, "It looks excellent, thank you," his calm demeanor unbroken. Growing increasingly frustrated by his unwavering composure, Maria muttered to a nearby co-worker that he wouldn't last 5 minutes, that he would likely ask for the check as soon as he saw the bill. Yet Putin continued to savor his meal, his serene presence defying every attempt to unsettle him. Not long after, Maria escalated her provocations further. While serving him his water, she deliberately raised her voice so that several nearby tables could overhear. "You know, it's hard to maintain our standards when just anyone thinks they can walk in. That's precisely why we enforce a strict reservation policy, to avoid situations like this." Her condescending words drew murmurs of disapproval from the diners. One elegantly dressed woman gasped, while an elderly man at another table shook his head, remarking softly that it had gone too far. Throughout the ordeal, Putin continued his meal with quiet dignity, his composed gaze revealing not a trace of irritation. His unruffled manner only seemed to further unsettle Maria, drawing even more disapproving glances from the other patrons. One guest remarked quietly that only someone truly important could remain so composed, while another suggested that perhaps his inner strength was simply greater than her assumptions. Finally, Maria returned to his table one last time, inquiring with feigned politeness if he needed anything else. "I hope you're enjoying your experience," she said with an exaggerated smile, adding, "After all, having a diverse clientele adds a unique charm to our establishment." Meeting her gaze steadily, Putin calmly replied, "Could you please clarify what you mean by that?" Maria responded with a brief, nervous laugh. "Oh, don't take it the wrong way. It's just that our usual guests are far more traditional, and it's quite rare to see someone with your style here." For a moment, the dining room fell silent, every ear attuned to their exchange. At that very moment, the restaurant manager, a composed, middle-aged man radiating authority, approached the table. His eyes locked onto Putin's with immediate respect, and he hurried over, effectively sidelining Maria. "Mr. Putin," he exclaimed with genuine admiration, "I wasn't aware you were dining with us this evening. Please, allow me to ensure your experience is nothing short of exceptional." Maria's face flushed with embarrassment as she exchanged a startled glance with the manager. Maintaining his calm, Putin addressed her in a measured tone. "Let's talk about how we treat people." A hushed silence descended over the room as every eye turned toward the table. The manager, his expression resolute yet concerned, then turned to Maria and stated firmly, "Maria, I expect a full explanation of your behavior after your shift. For now, please step away. I will handle the remainder of this service." Unable to offer a retort, Maria's face fell, and she quickly retreated from view. Taking a deep breath, Putin rose and addressed the room with quiet authority. This establishment was founded on the belief that every guest deserves a warm welcome, regardless of appearance or background. Tonight, we witnessed behavior that falls far short of that principle. Once service concludes, I expect a meeting with all the staff to address these concerns. The manager nodded solemnly in agreement, clearly determined to set things right. Seated once more, Putin's calm presence gradually restored order in the dining room, though soft murmurs continued among the patrons. Gathering the staff around him, he spoke in a gentle yet resolute tone. "We all make mistakes, but what truly defines us is how we respond to them. This evening, we observed not only poor service, but also the harmful effects of snap judgments, hidden biases, and a lack of empathy." He paused, letting his words sink in, then continued. "True strength lies not in appearances, but in how we treat one another. Each of us has the power to make a difference through small acts of kindness. Let tonight be a reminder of that truth." His gaze swept the room before settling on Maria, who now sat apart with tears glistening in her eyes. Softly yet firmly, he added, "Maria, I recognize that today was a mistake, a lapse in judgment that can be rectified with sincere effort and a willingness to learn. The choices you make from this moment on will define who you are." The room listened in respectful silence, visibly moved by his heartfelt words. As the night drew to a close, Putin rose once more and stepped out into the illuminated streets of Moscow. Pausing briefly at the entrance of the restaurant, he reflected on the evening's events. Not merely a dinner, but a profound reminder that true strength is found in kindness, in looking beyond appearances, and in cherishing the intrinsic worth of every individual. In today's narrative, we witnessed how genuine respect and empathy can transform a challenging encounter into a valuable lesson. Vladimir Putin's calm, measured response not only restored order in the restaurant, but also reminded everyone that true strength is found in treating others with kindness and understanding, regardless of appearances. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever experienced a moment when a simple act of compassion changed the course of an interaction? We'd love to hear your stories. Let's build a community that celebrates every small gesture of kindness. Thank you for watching.